What do you want me to do, Hojo?
Oh, just chill out, man. Everything is cool.
What? No, I'm a hunter. I hunt. What do I hunt?
I don't know, there's no immediate dangers or anything, but if you want to just do it for sport, I guess.
No, a hunter never hunts for sport. I'm here to help people.
Well, nobody needs help right now, so.
But I need to hunt.
Look, Corin, I may be a toad puppeteering a fake guildmaster above my head, but even I know that this is an unwinnable situation. Rabbit.
Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, welcome one and all to another week, another example of the misunderstandings of the Monster Hunter community. Yes, I'm going to start referring to this more as misunderstandings than anything else. It is because I've realized something. Most of these responses come from a place of lacking information or context on the rest of the Monster Hunter series, and that really is what I'm trying to combat by doing what I do here. I just want to provide more context, make the community more knowledgeable about why these parts of the series work the way that they do and have done so in the past. And maybe I do get a little bit angry sometimes, but I promise my intentions are good. Everyone has opinions, but sometimes those opinions are either misinformed or outlandish, sometimes even trying to generalize the entire community from a viewpoint that is not widely shared by the whole community. This type of stuff makes us look bad as a whole in comparison. It affects Capcom, who reads these comments, and then it affects new players finding the game for the first time, maybe being turned away from even playing it because of this. I don't think that I solve this. I don't think that I do much of anything to change the minds of those who made the original comments. Honestly, I doubt they would even watch this type of thing. But if I can stop even one of those comments from being made in the future by responding to the ones that have been made in the past, I consider that a victory. Criticism is cool, but only when it is applicable, and never if it's just plain disrespectful. Alright, Fugan, if you'd like to get us started.
In relation to a post announcing the first event quest of Monster Hunter Rise and the reward for completing it, does this gesture enhance the character in any way, shape, or form? Pointless!
I swear doing this is like drinking a cup of coffee in the morning, and I hate coffee, so this is where I get my energy. I feed off of this hate. As with like 90% of anything in life, context is super important. And in this case, the context is that this event quest came one day after an update that added 6 quests to the game, each with various player power increasing rewards. One day later, an event quest is added for a gesture, and this is your response. Come on, people, how ungrateful is that? If I walked up to you and handed you $999, would you say, well, it would be neat if it was rounded up to $1,000? I mean, you probably would, to be fair. It's much more convenient to hold $1,000 than $999 just because of the various denominations of currency. And look, my metaphors don't always work, but the point is, don't look a motherfucking gift horse in the mouth. I get it. You want more stuff. No one is against having more stuff. But you put this on the Capcom Twitter itself. You called this pointless because it doesn't have this. It's hard to express. Obviously, I'm not a video game company, but I know what it's like to read comments and find one that completely undermines all the work that you've been doing. I get it. Not everyone likes every single aspect of the game, but especially when you were given what you want 24 hours earlier, maybe just take a little bit of a backseat and let the people who like posing like a ninja pose like a fucking ninja, I swear. Fugan?
I do like posing like a ninja, yes.
No, Fugan, I meant read the next one.
Oh, sorry. In relation to a post showing the Rider armor set that you can get in Monster Hunter Rise for also having Monster Hunter stories too, why not just give the Razewing armor as layered in Rise instead of this crap? I mean, even the base Chimera armor looks better than this. What an insult to Rise players.
Oh, that escalated a touch. Please take your entitlement and shove it back into your backpack. Where do I start? Capcom does not need to do this. This wasn't a part of the first stories, and as far as my knowledge goes, this is the most, by far, that Capcom has offered as a reward within one Monster Hunter game for owning a different entire Monster Hunter game. There have been some things in older titles, like some specific palicos or a pack of craftable items given to the hunters as a result of this, but nothing straight up to this level of a full layered armor set. It's not your style? Cool. Fashion is subjective, like incredibly subjective. I promise you, Every armor set in the game, every single one, is beloved by at least one person who plays these games, so that's the first point here. There are people who like it. I've seen people say that they like it, and personally, I don't mind it either, especially if you can layer it on individual pieces like most armor sets. My main issue here isn't with you disliking the armor set though, nor is it you requesting another armor set be layered. That's okay even if you presented it in a rude way by referring to this as crap, but it's the second line that truly gets me. Again, not the part about the Kimura armor. Again, fashion, subjective. It's the part where you say, what an insult to Rise players. I mean, what the hell, dude? Do you know what you're referring to? An armor set that you don't need to have. You're not entitled to it. Capcom is doing this as a crossover between the games for its fan base. They're doing this as a bonus, as a positive. Do you often get presents in real life and then be like, man, I was really hoping that it would be this instead, but no, that's pretty bad. Right? To the person's face after they give it to you? I mean, comments like this type of catch-all, ignoring half the community and generalizing all of our opinions as if you are the Monster Hunter Lorax speaking for the metaphorical trees, and herein lies the issue. Picture this situation from Capcom's perspective. We'll give the players a bonus for this. They'll enjoy that. We love our players and we want to respect them. And then being yelled at, told it's an insult, all of that for putting an armor set in the game. You know what the likely result of that is? No bonus armor set the next time around. You understand me? Realistic criticism, measured responses, approaching the situation with context and care for your fellow human beings might lead you to the results that you wish to achieve. Straight up disrespecting people? That's far more likely to leave you with absolutely nothing. Fugen?
Stories 2 is a $60 game that has microtransactions and it ain't even out yet.
You don't know what a microtransaction is, do you? This ain't it, Chief. Not only is this not even an actual reward in Stories, which means that it can't be a microtransaction for Stories, but it's not a small piece of DLC that you pay a small amount of money for. No, if anything, it's a macro transaction. Buy an entire game for one layered armor set in a different game. At least that's how it functions if you have zero intentions of playing Stories 2, but want the armor set. And that is just it's not what this is for. This isn't a $60 DLC armor set for Rise. It's just a nice flavor reward for people who want both games. I don't have much more to say about this one. Just be better. Fugen?
Is anyone else disappointed in the number and variety of monsters added? I like the additions that they added, but it still seems lacking. Even the DLC seems underwhelming. I really like Basilgeuse though.
Firstly, I gotta respect the love for my Basil boy. He is a perfect child in need of as much love as possible. I'll be real here. This comment was pretty tame, but I chose it because of the specific wording involved. I will be responding to this the way that I normally respond to comments, but at this point, I am also responding more to the outbreak of this sort of line of thinking in the community at large. This is one comment, but I've heard people complaining a fair amount about how they've already completed everything. There's nothing to do. It's less than the other Monster Hunter games, and that just isn't true. There were 31 large monsters in Base World, which I know isn't where everyone here started, but it is a majority. It is where most of these comments are coming from in my experience, people who started with World. It may have felt like more because the tempered system was a lot more direct about what to do when you reach the end of the game. It gave you very specific quests to tackle one at a time based on the expected rewards, but Rise is just way freer than that. The Talisman endgame grind that we now have is by no means less engaging or less here than the decoration farm in World. It is simply more free. Rather than being shoved one quest as the best possible rewards at any given moment, you now have options. You can do any quest that you want in the game to still work towards these rewards effectively. You can spam a mid-tier quest forever if you have the materials to farm your melding. You can hunt the final boss for ages to just farm these materials and then spam meld by just hunting lower tier monsters. You can hunt whatever you want. The game has offered us freedom to truly hunt like this, and a load of hunters have just taken this freedom and chosen to accept it as a lack of content, a lack of options. I just don't agree with that frame of mind, especially when you start comparing this to things like subspecies. How many subspecies are in Monster Hunter Rise? 0. We have apexes, but those are far from the same thing. As for the DLC, this is an incredibly large DLC drop, bigger in monster count than any update of World or Iceborne, and the games before them too, if I'm not mistaken, but my knowledge of those DLCs for those games is a lot lesser, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people like to argue that a lot of it should have been in the base game, but that's a different conversation. The game came out how it did. It existed like that for a month. That was the base game. That's what Monster Hunter Rise was. Then we got this DLC. The entire meta of Rise was different for that first month. Some people call it a mistake, something that was delayed. I actually really like the way that it happened personally. It felt intentional to me. Once we've moved on to this next tier now that we've seen all this new stuff that we have, these new decorations, these new armor sets, everything, it's almost like they wanted to let us explore with being at 80% of our power before then letting us power up to 90% of our power by unlocking the rest of these decorations. The restrictions put in the base game actually make this moment mean something. If we had all of this stuff in the base game, it would have been appreciated less, at least in my opinion. As for the thought of Rise in general having less content or less monsters, all of that, it's more of just a change of understanding than anything. A lot of the Monster Hunter player base, a majority of the current Monster Hunter player base, started with Monster Hunter World the same way that I did. It was our first Monster Hunter game. We experienced each and every monster one at a time, brand new, for the first time. Nothing rehashed, nothing remade, all fresh the first time. An unbelievable experience, a back-to-back amazement and wonder. For many of these players, many of those world players, their next Monster Hunter game is Rise. If you have no context for the way that the series normally works, you walk in a bit blindsided by just how many monsters are returning from Monster Hunter World. A good chunk of our roster is returning. And for newer players, I can see the frustration in that if you weren't expecting it, but it's just the way that the series evolves. It's the way that this series continues. It lets us have more monsters in each game, as remaking a monster is easier than making an entire new one, and it lets us get to experience these monsters that we already love, that the community loves, in a totally new gameplay style. No, it's not a new monster, but it's a totally different experience. Sorry, I got a little ranty, preachy about that topic there. I've been seeing a lot of this discourse the last few weeks, and I just needed to get this off my chest. The game isn't lacking content, you're just lacking direction. World had purple quests that threw you at a specific monster. Rise just gives you rewards for hunting whatever you want. The greatest enemy of freedom is indecision, so just get out there and do stuff. Alright everyone, I've been Cotton Dinosaur, and this has been my opinion on a number of opinions from the Monster Hunter community. So, how much have you been enjoying the new update? And what do you most hope is added to the game in the future? Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.